Hi guys, this is Hero. How's everyone doing today? आज मैं बताऊँ जो आज सब कैसे हो. So today I'm going over a Ketu-Venus conjunction. Okay, the very first thing, is that it will be super sudden, and the timing of it will be unpredictable when it comes to any like thing Venus related, like a relationship or anything like that. This is even more sudden and more unpredictable timing than Rahu. Right? I just made a couple videos back, I think, on like Rahu-Venus conjunction. Right? Why? Rahu, it attacks your mind, right? Venus just full blown attacks your whole life. Okay, Rahu is your mind. Venus kind of is your whole life. You can kind of look at it like that for right now, right? It's kind of why Venus's period is so much shorter than Rahu's, right? And how Venus, if it's in a certain house, it completely negatively affects that whole house. While Rahu, if it's in a house, doesn't necessarily impact the house as much as it impacts the planets it's conjunct with. Okay, so I'll talk more about these points in a second, but let me just go through all of them. So it's super sudden, the timing is unpredictable. The second is that it goes against all standards. What do I mean? Somebody with this conjunction, and they're running some kind of dasha related to this conjunction, like gets into a relationship or something. It could be, like I said, not only just sudden and out of the blue, but it's like, man, I would have never thought that this person would pick this person, right? I never really saw this person with a girl or a guy like this, something like that, right? Something like it will just be someone completely who their family and friends do not expect at all, to an extent, okay? And sometimes I have noticed this might not be as visible external as it is internal, right? Sometimes, like, for your own standards, internal, right? This could possibly be a person who, like, on the outside, they kind of could fit the bill for, like, a good partner for you, like, image-wise, but somehow internally you still feel like this is not really somebody that you would usually pick, okay, somehow. But I'll talk more about this in a second. Next is, this continues, right? This relationship or something like that. They will get into stuff that will continue until the karma is fully squeezed for that instance, okay? Think about your karma like a bunch of lemons or a bunch of fruit or something like that, right? And they just all need to be squeezed out, right? And then your karma is done, right? So think about it like this. Like, when you squeeze a lemon or something like that, you can keep squeezing, but when it's done, right? It's the same thing here. There's some karma that's getting, activated, I guess you can say, or that's getting turned on, and it's gonna go right until it's done, right? But the ending is just as sudden as unpredictable timing, right? When it's done, right? There's nothing you can do, and that's it, okay? Now, for all these, right? Like I said, Ketu attacks your life, while Rahu attacks your mind, right? This is why, in general, you see less information or less advice for Ketu than you see for Rahu, right? This is not necessarily intentional. It's not like people realize this is why it's going on or why they're giving more advice about Rahu than Ketu. It's because Ketu, you're less in control than Rahu, right? Rahu's attacking your mind. I can rationally tell you tips and stuff like that to kind of help you understand and kind of help you navigate through this, right? Ketu, like I said, it just attacks you so suddenly and things you would never expect, okay? So the main solution here is prayer, right? I don't care what kind of prayer you're doing, whether you're just having a conversation with God, you're chanting, specific religious prayers that are, in whatever book you worship, right? This is the main solution. Why? Ketu, this is like God, basically, right? Like kind of unfolding all this here, right? You're not really in control at all. Like you have the least control. Like, pretend you're running like some kind of Ketu Dasha, right? At any level. You're in relative, like, complete less control than what you would usually do, right? There's no strategy you can really use. I mean, there's stuff that will help that I'll tell you in a second. But the actual, there's no, like, real traps. Like, Rahu is all about traps, right? Like it's trying to tell you not to look for this in the future, right? Ketu is not like that at all. It is completely, I'm going to talk about this more in a second, but it's completely unfolding karma and trying to teach you stuff, right? It is not going to stop, and there's nothing that you can really do about it, because even though it's doing it in a very ungrounded way, it's trying to get you towards enlightenment and things like that, right? Spiritual elevation. So the only real solution here is prayer, right? Basically just asking God to basically just keep your mindset on the right track and allow you to handle all this gracefully, right? Because sometimes you can handle it ungracefully, you do other things, and then those have consequences, and then you want to blame it on the conjunction, right? Which is not, that's a completely separate thing, right? If you're doing stuff that, other stuff that, and then you're like, oh man, my whole life is, real bad right now. Not all of it could be related to this, right? So you want to ask God to basically ground you, right? And guide you in the right direction always, so that, like I said, you're not really in control, like if you're running a dasha and this kind of thing is going on, right? Especially when it comes to relationships in general, right? Material things, you can choose what kind of car you want and all this kind of stuff, right? There are things out of your control, right? Like if it has problems or things like that. But in relative, relationships is the least in your control, right? So prayer is going to be the main solution here. And like I said, I'll touch on these more in a second. Let me just get through all these. Acceptance of self-meditation can help, right? So what's going to happen is going to happen, right? Nothing you can do about it until it's fully squeezed. However, the people that come in your life can be sudden and unexpected and things like that. They're happening for two reasons. One, there's a direct reason of karma, right? And then two, it's trying to teach you, hey, whoever you think you are now, right? I'm this person, I'm Indian, I'm this race, I'm whatever, I'm this religion, I'm Hindu, I'm Christian, I'm Muslim, whatever, right? It's trying to teach you that, hey, dude, you were not always like this in your previous lives, right? So I'm going to basically show you people. And like I said, if you're like full blown, like in a close relationship or even a close, work relationship or close friendship with the person, right? You're kind of forced to break down a lot of your own ego identifications, right? Because it's just like if someone's of a different background or religion or race or whatever, you have to fully accept yourself, right? And why do you have to do this? Whenever you are upset or judge someone, right? It's actually not directly due to them, right? Let's just say you are really, judging someone who's loud, right? There's people who can just be like, yeah, this person's loud. And then there's people who are like, oh my God, this person's so loud, right? The people that are like, oh my God, this person's so loud, it's because they recognize something in themselves that they see in that person, right? For example, they could have their own tendencies or desires to lash out, right? And then that's why whenever they see someone else doing it, they want to blame it on the person, but it's actually something coming out inside of them. So Ketu people in general, they will, like if you have Ketu, this conjunction, and you're, the people that you attract in your life, it could force you to accept a lot of stuff in yourself, right? And it could also force you to break down a lot of stuff in yourself. Like, hey, I think I'm an Indian and I'm like the smartest person ever, but then, my colleague here who's not of the same background, right? He's also very intelligent, right? So I need to break that down inside me, right? This is just one hypothetical example. The next is you want to monitor your expectations related to the house and the sign. Okay. We know, I just said at the beginning that Ketu kind of completely attacks the whole house that it's at, right? So wherever this conjunction is happening, you want to pay very close attention to the house and the sign it's in, and you want to monitor your expectations. For example, let's just say, I'm not going to use the 7th because that's just way too stereotypical here for Venus. So let's just pick 11th, right? 11th is all about like, your, like everyone in your life, you can almost say, right? To let's just say in general, right? So you want to monitor your expectations. Let's just say someone comes in your life and this is like, let's just say like your boss, like you get a new boss and they just really like you, right? Well, I would monitor your expectations, right? Let's just say somehow something happens. There's all kinds of stuff that would happen. But whatever, let's just say they really like you, you really like them. I wouldn't count on that lasting forever, okay? So just keep that in mind here. You want to see what you're being asked to learn and how you're being asked to change. I kind of tied into this with the whole judgment thing and things like that. With the detaching, the expectation, right? The things you have to get over inside you. This is happening for your own good, right? Say, and the difference between like Ketu and Rahu, you're kind of being asked to learn for how you're planning to proceed in the future. Ketu, you're being asked to learn based off of what happened in the past, okay? So, and like I said, there's nothing you can do about the past, which is why there's not that much advice for any Ketu thing out there, right? But what you're being asked to learn and how you're being asked to change, right? And you want to just be as aware of yourself as possible to realize all this. Now, Unlike Rahu, where you're kind of doing this to kind of avoid certain consequences and things like that, here you don't want to do this with the expectation of, oh, I'm going to do this and then my whole life is going to be great, right? No, that's not why. You want to do this just so you can actually internally learn and elevate spiritually, regardless of what happens, right? There's not much you can do here, okay? So what you're being asked to learn and how you're being asked to change from the past, right? Almost anybody you look at, you have to almost want to put yourself in their shoes, right? If I was in their shoes, how would it be, right? And then compared to now, what do I need to detach from, right? What do I need to accept? All these kind of things. And I'll touch on this in the very, very end of the video because it can be a quite long point, but let me just go through these points one more time, okay? First one, it's super sudden and timing is unpredictable, right? Ketu's dasha itself is usually not that long, right? It's, the Mahadasha is only 7 years, and that ratio is, or that time percentage that it's less applies for its other dashas as well, like Antardasha or Pratyardasha. So it's got to get stuff going quick, right? It's got a lot of karma sometimes to get going on. Sometimes it actually doesn't, right? And you could just kind of see it come and go, right? But it'll usually kind of come quickly, okay? So just keep that in mind. It doesn't have a lot of time to work with, right? You're only here for only so long, and you're only running Ketu stuff for only so long, right? So it's got to get going, okay? When it comes to like relations and things like that. So just be don't be like, oh, why is this stuff all of a sudden happening to me? You need to accept that why this is happening to me, which I already just said, but I'll cover more in a minute. Goes against all your standards, right? Sometimes you just can't find the perfect person you want or your parents want or whatever's going on, right? So you just have to accept this, right? Like I said, at the end of the day, you got to realize that this person or whatever situations that are unfolding, right? Sometimes they don't even have to be that deep. It could just be someone, that you came across and somehow you just felt like they impacted you somehow, right? That's completely okay. You don't need to go off the rails and be like, publicly announce to like everyone you meet that this person changed your whole life, right? Even though that could be a possibility, but I'll get to that in a second. But just understand that, be okay with, like your expectations not being met, right? Or the typical perfect stuff that comes in your life not being met at all, right? There's nothing you can do here. It continues until the karma is fully squeezed, right? So there's nothing really you can do about the ending, right? Like with Rahu, for example, sometimes you can kind of drag it out, you can cut it short, whatever. And now the mental pain that's causing in your head might, how Rahu is influencing your mind, that might have a fixed time period, right? But the actual result, you are a little bit more in control. This you're not, right? When it's done, it's done, okay? Next is that the ending is just a sudden and unpredictable time, right? I just said that, right? When like I said, when it's over, it's over. That's it. I wouldn't count on this person coming back, or you have anything to do with this person. It's almost like it was like it was just like a blur, like after it's over, like, oh man, like because it was literally like driven by like something from the past, okay, like before this birth. So like that was the foundation of it. So that's why I could kind of feel like that. Prayer is the main solution, right? The only thing we can ask for is to just be as grounded as possible, right? We have to understand that we're not in control. God is, so it's just like, whatever you need to happen, I accept it, right? Be thankful for it, and then just ask me to just stay in line and not create any more karma that I need to squeeze out now or later, okay? Acceptance of self meditation can help. Right, and this has to do a lot with the fact that this person is different than you, right? So that will cause you to, and actually, you know what? This actually could apply, now that I think about it, to people who are the same as you, right? Let's just say, let's just say you are of a certain community. Let's just say you're Indian, right? And you think, for example, you're like the best looking Indian person out there, right? And you come across someone who's like also like extremely good looking that's Indian, right? Now you have to detach from that in yourself, right? So this is an example of how it could be someone like the same community, and like that's how that karma could unfold. But there's gonna be all kinds of situations where you need to accept something in yourself or detach from something in yourself, and it's based off of the fact that, hey, it's trying to get you to learn that, look, who you are now is not who you always were, right? And therefore, it's not who you are always going to be. So don't get too, tied up with all this going on, whatever's going on here, right? Monitor expectations to the house and the sign, right? Wherever it is, you need to know that all this is going to apply tenfold to where it's sitting, okay, and where it's aspecting, right? So that would be wherever it's sitting. You got to look at them all a little bit differently, but also includes the 5th house from where it's at, the 7th house from where it's at, and the 9th house from where it's at, okay? And it could also affect like where the Lord of the Ketu is, like where it's sitting, okay? And not as much, but a little bit of also the planets that are in the houses that Venus rules, right? So basically wherever Taurus and Libra are in your chart. So you want to monitor the expectations related to all of those, right? Last is what you're being asked to learn and how you're being asked to change, right? Ketu takes you towards moksha because it's basically, it's taking you home, right? It's taking you back to, how you are at a pure conscious level before all this, rebirth nonsense that's going on, right? So basically just asking you to strip down from everything, right? All this, anything you think is going on besides true consciousness is not actually real. This is all just like some play world that's going on, right? At a spiritual level, right? You're gonna leave. You're gonna leave, and if you do come back, you're not gonna be this, right? You're gonna be something else. Something else that's not you. So you might as well just not get too attached from you right now. That's basically what it's saying, okay? It's pretty much it for this video, I think. Should about do it. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know. And until next time, I'll talk to everyone later. Thank you all very, very much for watching.